and welcome back to part 9 of the Blue Jean Dream Steampunk tutorial. Now we finished up our embellishments, and by now you should have had your copper tubing finished with the liver of sulfur. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in some more, a little bit more of embellishments on the blue jean itself. So we're just going to spread a little bit of Mod Podge or any kind of craft glue. And we're going to take a little bit of glitter, and we're just going to place it randomly on the blue jean or the different parts of the fabric. This will add a little more sort of glamour or dress up the piece a little bit more. So I actually dab a little bit of the glue off because I don't want it to be like a line of glitter. And then in a cup I just mixed different glitter that I liked and just sort of sprinkle it on, tap it down so it stays. A spray glue would work really well with this too. You just want to be careful that you mask off the rest of the piece. Now here's our pendant when it's all finished. It's got the triple thick, it's all dried. We've got our little gems and glitter on it. And the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to sand down a little bit just to make sure that everything, all the edges are nice and clean. And this is a Euro tool set. It's just jewelry, just different size jewelry files. And this is a very fine file. So I'm just going to go around the inside a little bit and just sand down that resin just a tad. A little bit on the back. Just make sure that the edges are nice and clean and that they're not going to catch on anything. You can also give it a more distressed look by doing this as well, so it makes the piece look a little bit neater. And so you just want to, make sure that all of it has been sanded down. That there's not any sharp edges or points that could catch on somebody's skin or clothes. Last thing you want to do is make a necklace for somebody and then it ends up hurting them. That would be really bad. Something you can also do is use the end of the file to sort of go around your gems in case any of the triple thick got on the gems and you don't like the way that looks. Sometimes I leave it on there, sometimes I don't, but usually you can, while it's still kind of tacky, you can actually peel it off. You have to just be really careful not to damage the other parts of the surface. And if you want, you can even file it down to where you have some of the metal showing through, just to kind of give it sort of a steampunk, eclectic look. Alright. So now we're going to take our copper tubing. As you can see, we've got this nice gunmetal color in the etching after we put it in the liver of sulfur. So what we will do next is we're going to take the rub and buff, which we talked about in the previous tutorial. And this particular color is the sort of brown color. I believe it's an antique bronze. And we'll wipe this across the copper just to tone down the red bits a little. You don't want to wipe it all over the entire thing. Just kind of get some of those edges because you don't want to take off your patina that you just added with the liver of sulfur. So we'll just do some of the more reddish copper look and just kind of tone that down to kind of mute it just a little bit to match our antique bronze. And then we will do a green rub and buff, or it's called patina, and this stuff is only like $4 or $5 at your hobby store. It's great, and this will actually imitate the oxidation process that happens with copper over years, often called verdigris. And what it does is it gives the copper that sort of green look, but this is just a wax, so you can just rub it into the metal and it'll stay. And if you don't like the way part of it turns out, or if maybe you get it into the liver of sulfur patina and you're not really crazy about how that turned out, you can always just keep basically rubbing it and it will take it off. So hence rub and buff. but it does give a nice, can add more color and give it a more distressed look. What we're going to actually do with this piece of copper tubing is we're going to string it through the necklace. Make it really neat. I'll a lot of times use like the cloth and just rub some of this extra color in as well, just to give it a little more distressed look. You can kind of wipe it through the glittered area, or however you want to do it, just to make it look like the blue jean material is a little more worn. Now we're going to take some more copper wire. Well, first let's go ahead and put our copper tubing through. And you might have to actually pull off your loop. We'll have to see. Go ahead and set these and see if I can't just slide it on over. Depending on the size of your loop, you may actually be able to just pull it through. And we'll try it. Go ahead and close this first. Put our lid back on our rub buff so it doesn't dry out. And we'll rub a little bit of this on the edge of our wires here that we use to wrap around the material. They're a little too red for my taste, so we'll just tone those down a bit. You want to make sure that you really rub this in so it doesn't come off on someone's clothes, or there's no real drying time. You just sort of rub it into the metal. Now we're just going to get another piece of wire here and go ahead and strip, and we're not going to strip, but we're going to strip the wire. Aha, really lame joke. Anyways, so we're just going to go ahead and cut the wire and pull the plastic sheeting off that, and we'll be using this to actually wrap around our pendant. So we get the same look as the end of our blue jean. And that way, you know, again, when talking about design and balance, this will keep it a very balanced design. So we'll have additional coils of wire going around our pendant, and it serves several purposes. Obviously, it serves the purpose of adhering the wire and giving the washer the ability to hang on the necklace. But it also ties into the way we wrapped our ends of our larger jump rings. And just go ahead and pull that last piece of plastic sheathing off. You may have to use the wire strippers in a couple areas. Alright, so once you get the plastic sheeting off, we're going to wire wrap the pendant. And the way in which we'll do that is we'll take the pendant and we'll go ahead and loop it through one time, bring it up, and then we will hold, leaving enough to make a loop to go through a jump ring and onto the necklace itself. So with the excess, you can make any kind of decorative element you want. They have looping tools out there that you can use to design, and you can kind of follow a guide. If you're not very comfortable with wire wrapping, that may be a good option for you. They have sort of templates that you can follow, and you just sort of loop around the pegs, and that works great for some people. I do it by hand, but You know, if you get a kink in your wire, you can always, like I just did, you can use the nylon flat and round pliers to get it out. So again, we're going to go through twice with leaving enough room to create a loop for the necklace. And make sure you have the side you want prominent up. And then we'll just loop this around. And once you get it started, you can easily use your pliers just to get the decorative element or aspect of it that you want. And I'm just doing a simple wrap, just sort of coiling it around the top area. And of course, making our loop. You can also make your loop first and wrap and tuck the ends if that's easier for you. It's really whatever is easiest on you and what works best with your design. And you just want to tuck the end and behind it there so you get a nice clean wrap. And if you're worried about damaging the copper or scratching it, make sure you're using nylon pliers. For this part, it's not as necessary because this particular copper wire is not exceptionally soft. Some of them are, so you want to be careful with that. You just go ahead and finish wrapping, and then you get your little loop to attach it to the necklace. Kind of tuck that in to your coil. Make sure you flatten all the pieces in the back just to make sure they're really secure. And straighten it up the way you want to get the look that you want. Make sure there's no jagged edges and everything's tucked in someplace so that nobody can get hurt. And there you go. Nice wire wrapped pendant.